podcast is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
Welcome to the Roll Initiative Podcast, the only Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition podcast, the Superior Edition.
The Roll for Initiative Podcast, volume number 3, issue number 110. I am DM Vince, sitting alongside DM Nick.
Hello.
I guess now you're my Ed McMahon, huh?
Yes.
Yes, sir. You are correct.
You are correct, sir.
Remember when Phil Hartman did that great impersonation of him on Saturday Night Live?
Yes, he did.
Poor Phil Hartman. Anyway, we have a wonderful show for you. And those who are listening for the first time, this podcast is a podcast dedicated to what, Nick?
First edition of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, written by Gary Gygax.
That is correct. The only, and the original, in case there is another one out there hiding, podcast that is promoting First Edition Dungeons & Dragons, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons.
And we will hunt them down and kill them.
That
Take their
is
stuff.
correct. This week we have a very special guest sitting in with us.
Special.
Special. Isn't he just special? Yeah.
Special.
We'll be dubbing him a DM this week as our guest DM. His name is Brian Fazekas. Did I say that right, Brian?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. And he is the editor-in-chief of End Magazine, which you can go to and-mag.com. Am I right, Brian?
That's it.
And you can download the awesome goodness that this magazine is, and it is a first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons based magazine for free. You head right to the site. They have 4 issues up, I believe, right now, and 2 adventure supplements.
Yeah, we just published one of our second adventure Thursday evening.
Is it Rage of the Waves, right?
Rage of the Waves, or Rage from the Waves.
Rage from the Waves, sorry.
So, Mr. Editor-in-Chief, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been playing and how you got involved with the magazine?
And should clerics be able to use other weapons besides blunt?
Jeez.
Sorry. Zing!
Yeah.
I've got the unpopular opinion on that one.
Oh!
I started playing AD&D in January of 1983.
Ooh.
And I played in college and then started my own campaign and ran campaigns through, I think it was February of 91. Got married, moved away, boxed up all my stuff, and it sat there in my attic for 15 years. Mm-hmm. And then in 2005, my sons, who at that time were 7 and 8, I don't know, for whatever reason, I pulled the box out, showed it to them, they got all excited, and suddenly I'm DMing again.
Isn't that wonderful feeling?
It's actually amazing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And my sons are good players. They're now 15 and 16. We've got a campaign that's been running since then. We've actually run a couple of the campaigns in between. I got on the internet and I was astounded to find out that there was a real strong AD&D community alive. I got on a number of boards. One of them was Dragon's Foot. Mm-hmm. And for several years I was one of the editors. I submitted some material to that. And I was the primary editor for Len Lakofka's L4 Companion.
Oh, cool.
Oh, outstanding.
And I'm I dub myself the project manager for the forthcoming L5 Town of Croton, which, if all goes well, we're going to be able to publish in another couple of months.
Ooh.
Now, is that going to be actual publish, or online, or how's that?
It's going to be online. It's Leonard had a number of things that are being done through Dragon's Foot. Mm-hmm. And I got involved in that just about a year ago. I mean, we've had a few slowdowns in the process, but the material is 99% of the way there. Got a little bit of cleanup to do, and we've got a cover artist who's producing. This is actually going to be 3 publications. It's somewhere around close to 300 pages.
Wow.
It's a tremendous work. I think when people read it, they're probably going to freak. Very detailed. It's about 150 pages of description of the town of Croton and the surrounding areas.
Ooh.
About 100 pages of 5 adventures that in and around Croton, and one of them takes you all the way to hell. Hopefully back if things work out. And the third one is we're dubbing that one the Companion, and that's some new information on gods, new cleric abilities, new magic items, some new monsters. It's about 30 pages of basically supplement from Leonard's mind.
Cool.
Anyways, back to about close to almost a year and a half ago, Nikki, our publisher, had floated the idea on the Yahoo group, First Edition AD&D, about starting a magazine. And, we chatted about it for a little bit, and it seemed interesting. Then January of last year, I pinged her and said, well, you still thinking about it? And she and I started talking. And then somehow we got Andrew involved. Andrew, he and I are collaborating on writing some other things that are, if we ever find the time to finish them up, we'll wrap them. And he ended up in the mix, and then we ended up with a few other folks, and we decided, we're going to do it. We put together a game plan, most of which came from Nikki's head. Mm-hmm. She had a good idea what she wanted to do. We wanted to do a theme-based magazine where every issue would have a theme that we based most of the content around. We give it we could hit a topic and we could expand upon it and really flesh it out. And we looked at the idea of doing it in print, although initially we were going to publish in PDF. So all of our everything we publish is multiples of 4 for page count, so that if you print it, it prints cleanly. We just basically did some research on what it takes to print a magazine and set it up in that fashion. And we went ahead. We picked a theme for our first issue, which was low-level adventuring. We figured we're starting out, so we'd talk about what it takes to start out.
Right, which we're going to review later on the show a little bit for you folks out there.
We're going to talk about that.
Yep. And we assembled a good crew, all volunteers. People I mentioned so far, Nicole, Andrew, another editor, Jeremy, came on board. Ralph is our art director. Andreas is our cartographer. And that started out our initial group.
Right.
And we put together several issues, and things are still going strong. Jeremy left the fold last October, November. He had personal life was just killing his free time to be able to work for the magazine. Although if you look at our last 2 publications, his name is still in the credits. Mm-hmm. Like you talked about earlier about being far ahead on the show. Well, we're trying to be 3 to 6 months ahead on material. So stuff that Jeremy edited last fall, we have just published. So you'll see his name still in the masthead. He did the work, so we're making sure he gets the credit for his efforts. He did a really good bang-up job.
Wow, that's fantastic, and that's good. You try to stay ahead of the game a little, because you never know what other things might come up in life. Because like when we do this show, things come up in life. We're just doing this voluntarily. So it's like you want to have maybe a kind of a backlog of material just in case things kind of go weird.
Well, the truth be told, I actually hold some blackmail on Nick, so I can have him anytime I want. No, I'm just kidding.
We're not talking.
No, things come up, so a lot of times we record shows 2 or 3 at a shot and just put them in the can, so we know that we're ready to go in case someone's sick.
Oh yeah, someone's sick, holiday, vacation time, stuff like that. So it's like, and it's good you plan for those sorts of things.
Right. And I need to start layout on the magazine a couple of months ahead. We're trying to shoot for 3 months ahead, but we're not quite there yet. Because I get the magazine put together. I violate one of the rules of magazines. Like, normal magazines have advertising.
Right.
And they break articles up so that they get pretty page counts and stuff like that. I always hate when you get to page 85 and you got to jump to page 120 to finish the article. But we decided early on we're not doing that.
That's funny because when now they got all the previous Dragon magazines at archive.org.
Yep.
You know, you read some of those early issues. I'm like, why is this is like all over the place?
Yeah.
There's a bit of an article here, then it's over here, then it's over here. Yeah, that is annoying.
So we have space at the end of most articles, so we stick in. And when we get to the magazine, you know, we'll look at that, and we stick in magic items, quotes, fake ads, something of either use or entertainment value.
Mm-hmm. That sounds interesting. And if I know people are out there going, well, how can I get in contact if I have like an article, or what standards do you hold so we can submit something? How would we do that, Brian?
Go to our website, and-mag.com. We've got our guidelines for submissions listed. We've got emails listed. It's submission at and-mag.com. Anything sent to that address will get to us.
Right.
And again, we're always looking for new material.
So I'm looking on your website here. You want anything pretty much pre-3rd edition and Advanced Dungeons & Dragons focus. So what about... This is all 1 edition, so there's no 2nd edition or anything like that.
Well, we're all 1st edition players. We're all focused around it.
Mm-hmm.
Although some of our members play kind of a hybrid 1st, 2nd. I'm willing to steal rules from any place. I actually found some stuff in 4th edition that I've stuck in. And again, my conversion of it's definitely different, but, you know.
Oh, you lie.
You know, you can trust me. You can find something good in any game. You just sometimes have to hunt real dark for it.
Yeah, you got to really dig sometimes. Okay.
But you know, we're willing to. If we've got good 2nd edition material, we'll print it. If we got OD&D, which actually covers a pretty wide range of things. Again, most of this stuff is totally translatable. We're talking going back to my beginnings. I went to a yard sale and I picked up a stack of modules for about $5.
Wow.
And I had no idea what... I mean, I played AD&D. I had no idea what expert D&D was, and there's no internet to hunt. So I didn't know what is this stuff. And I'm looking at it, and it didn't make sense, but I discovered that, I can translate this stuff. So I was doing... It's funny. I had it in my mind a short while ago. A module seemed to be based upon Roger Zelazny's Amber series.
Oh yeah, Castle Amber.
Yeah, and
X3 that is right. Yeah.
Yeah, module X3. Shut the down.
I just translated it on the fly, and it worked just fine.
Most of the stuff you could translate on the fly from basic and expert. Yeah,
really.
So we're looking for good material, quality material. If it's good, we'll consider it.
How about, for example, say someone is writing an article from taking stuff from newer editions and back translating it to first? Would you think that'd be a good article to look at, or?
That's going to be, it depends. Again, if they've done a translation so that it's AD&D compatible,
yeah, definitely,
then the answer is probably.
Oh, okay. So it's a consideration, but you're not sure.
So it's worth for someone to maybe take a shot, something like that.
We'd have to look at it. If someone writes something that's going to be more Pathfinder than AD&D, then we probably wouldn't print that.
Look, for example, we have a lot of fans that say, I play the newer edition, so I have a lot of newer 3rd edition D&D stuff. So how do I translate my 3rd edition Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil module to 1st edition? I've never really played it. So say someone takes a crack at that, would you guys consider that, for example?
Well, if it's a reprint of the module, we probably wouldn't, because that's
violation.
That's pushing a gray line. If someone wrote an article on how to translate, okay, you've got a monster in... I've got several friends that play Pathfinder. They're trying to drag me into it, but I just haven't had the time. But if someone had a description of how you take a Pathfinder monster and turn it into AD&D or something like that,
Okay.
I think we would definitely consider that.
Okay, that'd be something to consider. Good. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that like doing those things, and why not? Where's the best place to do it? Your magazine or podcast, so...
Yeah. Before we go on to anything else, I just wanted to mention we recently acquired 2 more volunteers.
Awesome.
Oh.
Tim has signed on as an administrator. He's handling some of the bookwork, making sure things are organized, doing a lot of miscellaneous stuff that, he's getting it off our plates.
Is that Tim Kask you're talking about?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Different Tim.
I was like, okay, another Tim. Okay.
If I had Tim Kask on board, do you think we wouldn't be trumpeting that?
Okay, I'm just wondering. I didn't know. I mean, it's like you said Tim. I'm like, Tim Kask? I think he's already got a lot of stuff.
I was going to say he's got a lot of other plate. And we brought Dan on board as a new editor.
Okay.
And now we are truly international.
Yay.
Oh, yay.
Three of us are scattered, Texas, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Hamburg, Germany, and now I think it's Sydney, Australia.
That's pretty international.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, none of the principal members, none of us have ever met.
Yeah, I was talking to Nicole the other day, and she said she's never actually spoke to you about any of this other than except emails and correspondence, and that's it. So she's looking forward to hearing your voice.
We got a lot of emails, and I've done a pretty good job of filling Gmail up.
Yeah,
but we've never got together. We've kind of tossed out a few ideas of maybe getting together at a con sometime. That would be
maybe
cool.
Even just Skyping together and just talking too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So that would definitely be a thought there. Skype, the international boundaries aren't a problem. Although with a member in Australia, that does.
Well, the time zone difference. That's
time zone difference. Yeah.
In my real life, I manage international teams. Mm-hmm. So I have a team in Chennai, India right now, and the timing for that can be entertaining.
Definitely.
There's no such thing as, I'm an early bird, so I can do early calls, and it's just late afternoon for them, so that works out.
Yeah, they're about, 12, 13 hours ahead of us?
10 and a half.
10 and a half, okay.
Yeah, they've I think India it is, and there's a few other places that do half steps on the hours.
Okay.
So they're either 10 and a half or 11 and a half, depending on whether or not daylight savings time is in place.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, yeah, I do have a note from Andrew not to go easy on you during this interview, so...
Oh, Andrew's harassing you? Yeah, he told me he was going to harass us all the way through it.
He said,
that's what friends are for.
He told me, Vince, don't go easy on Brian when you interviewed him. Do I have the ability to really hard hit people? I didn't know that, but anyway.
Yeah, you're you're a real hard hitter there.
Yeah. That's definitely true. I guess I'm like the Alex Jones of podcasting or something.
That's an interesting comparison.
Yeah, I know, right? We're considered the Fox News of podcasting. Remember, Nick?
Oh yeah.
We tell people what to listen
that
to.
Review, I remember that.
Anyway, so I guess do we have any stars this week, Nick?
Yes, we do. We do have some stars for this week, and just to remind everybody, you can go on to iTunes. And when you go to the iTunes store, type in the search for Roll for Initiative, and find the Roll for Initiative podcast, and you can download all the previous issues, the current issue from iTunes, put it on your iPod, your iPad, your iPhone, your whatever, and then you can also give us ratings and reviews, and we are up to 152 ratings.
Woo!
And, 131 with 5 stars. And we have our last review here. Our current one is from Blade Master Lick, spelled Liq.
Okay.
And he gave us 5 stars and lessons learned. It says good audio, great presentation, enjoyable hosts. The information they present is top notch, though at times they can lose their focus and ramble on. Yeah, well, they're gamers. That's
so. Nick, did I ever tell you about
the gaming community?
Nick, did I ever tell you about the time my character went into this dungeon and
yeah, well,
never mind. I don't want to ramble.
Yes. As a new school gamer, they've convinced me to stop playing the game with too many rules and the clone of the game with too many rules, with even more rules, and focus on the game that shall not be mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Would love to play a game or two of AD&D First Edition due to this podcast, but sadly do not have a group nor the time to do so. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Mr. Blade Master Lick. And, to find a group, you can always check online. I think we have a forum on our OSR Gaming for looking for gamers. I think we have a section for that. And there's several other forums that you can go to. I think isn't there a website that's devoted to stuff like that? I forget.
For what, Nick?
For like looking for other gamers to play certain stuff.
Penandpapergames.com, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also NWorld. There's also I'm trying to think of another place that's very, very popular. Now that's probably OpenRPG.com, things like that.
Yeah. So there's lots of places for you to check to find any people around your area, or even doing a game over Skype, or I think was it Roll20?
Yeah, our buddies at Roll20.net and EpicWords.net.
Yeah, there's so many different places where you could hook up with people. It's so much easier now with the technology that you could do this sort of thing. So chances are, if you got weird hours because of work or school or what have you, chances are you're going to be able to find a few people that fit in with your schedule, and you can get a game going.
Yeah, word.
And that's our latest review. So please keep them coming, and we appreciate all the reviews that we get. We either if they're hard critiques, or they're just saying, "Hey, thanks a lot. You're doing a great job." We read them all. We all take them. We all take whatever we get from you guys. We try to do our best.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And we have the results from our 10-foot poll that was going on last month. We thank all the people that voted, and the voters. What?
And the winner is?
The winner is Luke Gygax.
Luke Gygax.
Right. We'll be requesting an interview from him after GaryCon, because that's coming up, and he's preparing right now for that.
Yeah, that's right. That's in a few weeks.
Yeah, so I don't want to bother him right now, because he's in the state of frame of setting things up, doing his communications, He's in the con mode right now, so.
Yes. And Luke he's in the Army Reserve, correct?
I thought, yeah, that or the National Guard. One of the two, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's the Army Reserve or Army National Guard. I couldn't remember. He's out in California, I believe.
Yeah. And so, obviously, there was some unfortunate news about Ernie Gygax on Facebook. Yes. His apartment had caught on fire and it burned down. I understand that's old news now, but there is a relief fund starting up on Facebook. If you just head over to the Gygax magazine or look up Tim Kask on Facebook, you will find the relief fund page, and we'll put our link in our show notes so everybody's aware of it, and you can go there and help Ernie out, because he lost everything as far as all the stuff from his father and all the stuff he's collected over the years, but thankfully him and his good old doggy and his roommate got out safely.
Yes, and then what I know what I've seen, I'm sure you've seen it too, is the overwhelming positive response from the gaming community online it's been tremendous. I saw the Facebook page that was set up. I know there was mentions. You go to Dragon's Foot, you go to OSR Gaming, Kenzer and Company. Everybody said, "Hey, this happened to Ernie. This is what's going on, and this is how you can help." So
definitely, and it's
been great.
Definitely extend our thank you out to the man in the white truck, the knight in the white truck, who helped save Ernie Gygax.
Yeah,
we don't know who he is, and the guy just basically did his job, saved Ernie, and took off. So, according to that article they posted online, I wonder if they ever found out who that gentleman was.
I don't know, but I can tell you that I've heard stories like that in the past. Where someone just comes out of blue and saves someone from a desperate situation, and then they just go away. And
yeah, so definitely, if you take a look and maybe want to help them out, we'd appreciate it. If not, don't worry about it, but at least keep them in your thoughts.
Absolutely.
So that's the poll for now, and we'll contact Luke, and let's head over to some sage advice.
Sage advice.
So should we sing this week, Nick?
Oh, absolutely. Sage advice. We got some sage advice.
Wait, now we gotta get Brian to sing.
Cinnamon or other spice. It's a sage advice.
We got a lot of voicemails this week, Nick.
Would you say we have a plethora?
Si, senor. We have a plethora. We have
Is a plethora.
we have about 1, 2, 3, 4 voicemails this week.
That would be a plethora.
Yeah.
That is officially a plethora.
We actually do have a lot of emails as well, but I think I'm just going to gather them up for another letters to the editor again, because we had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, that's a fun kind of show to do once in a while. Just kind of like, just let her hair down and just going to answer a few questions.
Yes. All right, let's get to the first voicemail.
Hey guys, this is DM Kojo. I wanted to just call in and talk a minute about the premium first edition reprints of the core books and the Unearthed Arcana that just came out. I really enjoy the Unearthed Arcana. I am super excited that they put the errata in, not just the missing tables that they put in place of some artwork, but also the fact that they just, put the errata all the way through the book. So the Cavalier is properly marked with D10 hit dice instead of D12 and some of these things. So just makes it overall a great improvement, I think, on the original book, which was full of errors and problems. I kind of wish that they'd done more of the errata with the original Player's Handbook and DMG and such. I am a little bummed. It seems that there's a few mistakes that were crept into the new books. I think somebody pointed out that in the reprinted monster manual, dwarves are listed as 7 hit dice monsters. Obviously, that's a typo. It's supposed to be 1 hit dice. So it's kind of a shame that you got new errors introduced, but I suppose that's kind of inevitable at some point. But overall, I got to say, with owning all 4 now of the premium reprint books, I'm very happy with them. And I like the look of them. I like the paper quality. I know that Vince has said on the forums that he thought they just really looked kind of off as far as the font and stuff. I can see what he's saying there, but it's definitely different font to some slight degree. I don't know if it's the glossy paper, darker ink, something that maybe is making it look that way, but I still find them very readable, very nice looking. I'm very happy with my purchases of all 4 of those books in the long run. So hopefully TSR will reprint some more books. My votes are for the Oriental Adventures book would be awesome, and maybe the Monster Manual 2 and Team Folio would be nice. So don't need my Wilderness and Dungeoneering Survival Guides reprinted, since they are pretty much in mint condition, as is, being that I don't really use them much. So that's just my 2 cents on the reprints. I'd like to hear what you guys think, if you've had a chance to look at the Unearthed Arcana in more detail. And keep up the good work. Thanks. Bye.
All right, thanks, DM Kojo. We'll definitely contact TSR to print some more. Oh, wait, no, TSR doesn't exist. Well, it does, actually.
Actually, it does, yes.
But that TSR is not printing out Dungeons & Dragons stuff, so.
We knew who he meant.
Yeah, I know. I just thought it was funny. He's like, TSR. I'm like, Kojo?
It's funny, though. I'm like, I look up Dwarf in my new Monster Man, I'm like, I'll be dang, they hit dice 7.
Yeah, one of the mistakes that
funny.
happens.
That's funny. But, we were just talking about, before we were starting the show, about, I mentioned I got the new Unearthed Arcana reprint, and, I love it. I really like that they incorporated the errata in the best possible way in that book. And I love the reprints. I mean, even with the Unearthed Arcana, because we even mentioned in the past how, like, there are people out there, depending on, I guess when they bought their copy. Yeah. Either it's in good shape or it's not. It's either one or the other. So I needed one because my binding, the gluing on the binding was really sad shaped paper. Pages were starting to come out. So, I'm glad I got a new copy. And I'm a collector. I'm a completist. What the heck can I say?
Yeah, you need to get all them books.
Yeah.
The new ones are beautiful.
Yeah, I like them. I really do. But as far as other printings of other books, I'm not sure. I mean,
I go with an Oriental Adventures, definitely. I love mine.
Would be a good idea.
Mine is falling apart because I've used that to beat it to
actually,
death.
mine's in good shape.
You probably never used it.
I very hardly. Yeah, that is true.
That was Oriental Adventures was the staple of the Great Joe DM campaign.
The Great Joe DM. Brian, do you know about the Great Joe DM?
No, can't say that I do.
Well, let Andrew tell you sometime. He's a long-term listener, so.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know about any other reprints as far as the other books. I know they're reprinting a couple of the module series. So,
yeah, the S series, the A series.
I know on the PDF releases that they have now, they have Monster Manual 2, Fiend Folio.
Of course.
So you could get all those on PDF. I would like to see Fiend Folio reprinted.
I would
be
too.
honest.
Yeah. I like
Same
Fiend
here.
Folio. Yeah.
I think that would be a logical step, in my opinion. I was like, let's get another monster book reprint because they only did one print of Fiend Folio. That was the only book out of the first iteration of those books before 1983 that didn't get the new orange binding style.
You know what would actually be really cool? Get an original deities and demigods book with the Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah, with the Cthulhu and Melnibonian mythos. Now they have the deities and demigods out there on the PDF site.
Is it the one with
it? Doesn't have Cthulhu and Melnibonian mythos in it.
Wow.
I was lucky enough several years ago. I think it was at Gen Con in 2006. I picked up one of those copies. It was like $45.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's how much it would sell for today anyway.
Sure.
So
yeah.
Yep.
So
I got mine at a yard sale along with other modules. Oh God, we're talking.
Man, you got yours at a yard sale. Man,
yeah, I paid probably about $20 for a stack of modules and 2 or 3 of the books.
Oh, nice.
That would have been about circa 1980. Yeah, summer of '83.
Wow.
I actually had oh, sorry, Brian, go ahead.
I was just going to say I didn't know for years that I got lucky that I got the original DDG.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I had an interesting pickup this week when I went to Half Price Books, Nick. I meant to tell you about this.
Oh, yeah? What'd you get?
I got the original Dungeon Master's Guide, revised edition, printing.
Is it the orange... it's got the orange leaf inside?
The orange leaf?
It's... I know there was a printing where the inside of the cover was like an orange paper.
This is the sixth printing.
Oh, okay.
Revised is the 6th printing, I found out. But anyway, the one thing that really caught my eye about this original cover one, obviously, 6th printing, was that the first 32 pages were upside down and backwards.
You got that one?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool to get that one.
Yeah, cool. That's funny you mentioned. There was a printing like that.
Yes.
And there was another one, I think, where the first, I forget how many pages of the DMG were actually pages of the Monster Manual.
Yes, that was the other mistake they had, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I went to, what's the collector's forum that they have out there?
Acacium or whatever?
Yeah, that's it. I went there, and they said it's not worth anything.
No.
But I thought it'd be, just kind of cool to have it when I picked it up. Yeah. I said, hey, I wasn't going to sell it, but I thought maybe it was worth something because it was kind of cool, like even a talking piece or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my cool find, and I got it for $4.
Hey, what the heck, right?
And it was in perfect condition too. So.
Wow.
Anyway, so let's head over to our next voicemail. Here we go.
Hi, this is DM Adam from Illinois. I was calling with a question for you guys. I hear that Will and DM Vince play Pathfinder from time to time, and I was wanting to know why Pathfinder gets some of the love, whereas 3.5 doesn't get any when the games are essentially the same kind of game. I mean, I know there are differences, but basically the core elements of the game are the same. I was wondering if you guys could elaborate on that. I think that'd be an interesting bit. So keep up the good work on the show, and thanks a lot. Bye.
So Pathfinder, yeah, I do kind of play Pathfinder every once in a while, and I do translate a lot of their stuff back to first edition. I could do it on the fly. I've been doing some adventures as far as the Carrion Crawler adventures with the Haunted. It's their version of Ravenloft, and I could take the adventure and read it, and then just on the fly convert it to first edition. It's not really that hard, but I guess.
So, what are the real differences between like D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder?
There's no well, the grappling system's different. Some of the classes are a little bit different. Paizo took it and kind of really like made it their own baby. We're using D20 license. Obviously, they just kind of took it and went, ha, and they took something.
Did they just like a little better organization? Or?
Yeah, organized it better. They cleared up a lot of rules that were kind of like just crunchy and annoying. Mm-hmm. I like Pathfinder a lot because it reminds me of it has that first edition feel to it.
Oh,
just the way that the presenting, the style, and the writing, and they're all very nice at Paizo. I've written them a bunch of times, and they write back even as far as up as Eric Mona. So,
oh wow,
yeah, they all write back.
Yeah, I've seen. I haven't played a Pathfinder game. I'd be interested in playing it.
And as far as no love, I stopped playing D&D after third. Mm-hmm. Third edition was my break point, and when 3.5 came out, that's when I threw the books down and said, "No, I will not buy anymore," because I thought that was kind of ridiculous. But 3.5, after reading it, was really crunchy, and it was just like, ugh, no thanks. I understand it's the same thing as Pathfinder, but no, not really. But as far as Will's perspective on that, you'd have to ask him on Facebook, as he is parted from us right now. So, unfortunately, so that's all I have to say about that. Brian, you don't have any exposure with Pathfinder, right?
I've got a friend that plays it. It's been trying to get me into it. Literally haven't had the time. I'd try it.
Yeah.
Although I looked when I got back into D&D in 2005. I was in the store and I was looking at the 3.5 books, and I started adding it up, and I realized I'd have to spend at least $200 to get started in that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my box of books at home. I was like, I think they work just fine.
Yeah.
It's not software. It doesn't go out of date.
No, never. It's just whatever you make of it, pretty much.
Yeah. I could understand that. Same thing is like, do I want to plop down X amount of dollars on a new game that I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy?
But
I really want to do that.
I do have to say the Pathfinder books are beautiful.
Yeah, they are. I've seen them, and they're very well done.
They're modules. They're adventure paths. Very well done. Every time I look at them, I'm like, whoa, like one of those. I just really like their style.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like Bill and Ted, whoa.
Whoa, I can do kung fu.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so check it out. I had something else to say, but I just can't remember it at this time.
Just lost you. You just went, whoa, and you lost it. Oh, well.
Yeah, the mentality went right out the window there. So that's pretty much the take. Oh, I knew what I was going to say. There are 2 podcasts you can listen to out there. One is part of the D20 Radio Network, which we're also a part of. The Pathfinder Podcast, Chronicles of the Pathfinder Podcast, which is a podcast that comes out once a month. Their podcast lasts about 4 to 5 hours. If you could sit through 4 to 5 hours at one shot.
Oof, that's a lot of
podcasts.
Yeah. But they're very well produced, very well done. They go in depth as far as they have a players section and a GM section of the podcast, and they actually warn you, if you're a player and don't want to know about this as a GM perspective, please stop listening.
That's funny.
Yeah, they actually do that. So they take the time.
That's cool.
And there's also 3.5 Sanctuary, another podcast out there that is not part of any network that I know of, but they do cover Pathfinder quite a bit, as well as 3.5, since that guy mentioned 3.5. So there's some sources for you.
And we'll plop those in the show notes once we get the show out there.
No, we won't, because I didn't say it. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
No,
fine.
Yeah, we'll plop them in the show notes, of course.
Oh, now that you say it.
No, Nick, I'm kidding. Let's go to our next voicemail. What do we have now?
Hi, my name is Kenneth, and I just listened to the episode about Paladins, and I wanted to say thank you. At the beginning of the episode, a lot when hearing kind of the horror stories about the Paladins, my first thought was, well, why bother? You know, it made me think that maybe just sticking to the 4 root classes is a better approach. But by the end of Nick's explanation, I too was kind of excited about it. And the thing I wanted to share in terms of getting into paladins, or really any character, and just the root of getting into role-playing games as a whole, is find examples in fiction that you embrace and can inspire you. And of course, the first example that leaps to mind is Luke Skywalker as a paladin, which even falls in with a mentor being Yoda. And I know that may strike as silly, but if he gives in to any urges to do evil things, then he crosses over to the dark side, which is kind of like obeying your alignment or risk losing your powers. And then, of course, Darth Vader as the anti-paladin kind of makes sense too. And so, but there's other examples as well. And something that could be a good example of paladin-like behavior is shows and movies where you have guys who have to restrain what they want to do in terms of what would be a common idea of justice in order to do the right thing and bring them in, that sort of thing. And so I would encourage people who are interested in playing paladins to find examples in fiction and model that until the character takes a life of its own in their role-playing experience. And then I was going to pose some house rule thoughts to you. If you have someone who's never played a paladin before, maybe have them start as a fallen paladin, which is basically a fighter who has to earn it, or so that through role play and adventuring, they prove that they can be a paladin without the paladin abilities, then they become a paladin, or also maybe just for grins and giggles, make the paladin like the bard, where someone has to start off as a cleric and then dual class to fighter, and then when they match up, then they're a paladin. That sort of. And I just want to see what you guys talk about that. Once again, love the show. Thank you so much for work. Wish you the best. Take care.
All right, thank you very much. Obviously, the end of that phone call got a little jumbled up there because of the connection, probably of the phone and everything. But
Kobold's playing with the phone line.
Yeah.
There they go again.
They say there's only one flaw in his Luke Skywalker philosophy. When you turn to the dark side, you still have your Jedi powers. You just become, the Sith or a dark side user. So you still have your powers. You don't lose them.
I still like the concept, though. It's still looking towards things in fiction, either in movies or in books, comic books, whatever, that you can use that as kind of a template for a paladin character. I guess you could even talk about Cavaliers to the point too. The reason why I was thinking Cavaliers is like his idea how one could become a paladin. Maybe he's his mentor is another paladin and he didn't really start off as one. Maybe he just started off as like a fighter or something. Maybe how they have that like the 0 level part of a Cavalier. You got those first 2 0 level areas for a Cavalier. Maybe you can modify that for Paladin.
Didn't they wipe those out with the errata?
I don't believe so. I think they're still in the book. I mean,
okay. Maybe it was the classing they wiped out. You had to be middle class or something instead of anything else.
No, they still have the sub experience levels for Cavaliers, the Horseman and the Lancer. Yeah, that's still there. So maybe you can use that as a kind of a way for someone to become a paladin. They have to earn their way into it. I kind of like that idea. Well, you have to earn it.
Well, the great Joe DM, just twice in one podcast.
Oh, the great Joe DM.
When I played in his campaign and we had Cavaliers in it, he made me start as actually a page.
Oh.
And then I worked my way up to a squire. Yeah, and then I was able to become a Cavalier.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting how he did that. He had me start at the negative levels, obviously, and work my way up.
Yeah, I think that's another way to do it. Maybe not so much as a progression like he suggested, like a bard type of route where you start off as a cleric, then maybe move to fighter, you dual class, and then you become a paladin. I think that would take a little too long, but I think a nice medium would be like those 0 level sections, the Cavalier. If you have the Unearthed Arcana, you just plop that onto the Paladin class, and you could do the same thing.
I wouldn't.
That would be really cool.
I don't think I'd knock it up for a new player to do, though. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, maybe not, but it's an idea. If that's something you feel like that's be good for your campaign. But I like the idea, looking in popular fiction, either sci-fi or fantasy, for a template for a paladin. I think the Luke Skywalker was a good example. I can't think of any other ones. Well, I know. What was it? The book 3 Hearts and 3 Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the real?
Supposedly the inspiration for it, yeah.
Yeah, so 3 Hearts and 3 Lions, if you can find that book. I don't even know if it's in print anymore.
Probably.
Probably find it out on Kindle.
Yeah,
probably.
What are your thoughts on this, Brian?
On
the spot.
I'll be honest with you. 30 years ago, I'd probably say cool, but right now, playing time, even with my players living in the same house, is sometimes so seldom that I don't think I'd find time to do that much development on a character just to get them the first level.
Right.
True.
Maybe
it sounds
just
like
a
cool
good
idea,
background story then, maybe.
Yeah, more like a background story.
All right.
It's a cool idea, just reality interferes.
Mm-hmm. That happens. Understandable. So we have one more voicemail left. We'll play that one for you.
Hey, RFI guys. I'm calling to talk about a couple of things. First of all, you do have a great show. Really enjoy it, especially the mailbag sage advice letter to the editor shows. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, my question is, I don't know, a few issues back, DM Will talks about Osric when he was talking about various retro clones, and I just wanted to clarify, or I don't know, but Osric really isn't. I mean, I ordered one, and it's great. It's a great, replacement for the books if your books are old or you just need an extra copy. And it's easy to, it's pretty much first edition. All they did was change a couple of the names so that, they don't get in trouble with WotC. And I was just wondering what you thought on that, about using Osric materials, or if you've looked at any of them. And other than that, I want to thank you for introducing me to DM Scotty's craft. Very useful. Beginning to use that in my game. And lastly, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the Hearst Arts thing that DM Will was doing, the Palace of the Silver Princess. I'm wondering if he ever completed that, and if he did, where can I look at it? I want to look at the pictures and see how that turned out. Thanks, and keep up the great work. You guys are great. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you very much. Brian, if you haven't checked it out, you can go on YouTube and check out the DM Scotty's Dungeon Craft segments. He takes cardboard and he makes all these wonderful little landscapes you can use for your game and your minis for your first edition or third, second, whatever edition. It's edition neutral. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds cool. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, he just uses cardboard, spray paint, glue, and whatever's laying around the house pretty much at the time.
That's pretty sweet.
As far as Osric's concerned, yeah, if you are new to the game and you don't have the money to invest in the game, go ahead and go pick it up from the Knights and Knaves Ale House. It's perfect just to see if you like the game or not. Mm-hmm. And then if you like the game, definitely go grab the actual books because they're not that expensive. But to test it out, yeah, go download Osric. It's a fine game that they took and they printed out for you. It made it easier to understand. They house ruled a lot of things that they felt needed to be changed as far as understanding things. They cleared up a lot of questions, possibly listening to what Gary has said over the years. So, yeah, don't count it out. Go take a look at it if you're interested. And as far as he asked about Will's comments on that, I know Will wasn't a fan favorite of that, so we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I've been a major league fan of Osric since it came out. I've got the Black Blade printing, which is probably one of the prettiest books out there that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I heard about that one. It's very well done from my...
It's absolutely beautiful. And it's funny because that's on my bookshelf, and I've got a 3-ring... I printed it double-sided and 3-ring three-hole punched it, and that's what I use So as much as I use any book at the table, I've got that handy as well as the original books. Nothing beats Gary's prose.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to figure something out, his prose is, well, that's the one time it's not the best.
Yeah.
And Ostrich, it normally makes sense.
I do want to point out that if you're really a big Gary Gygax fan and you just love whatever he does, which a lot of people do, and I myself, you can go find Adventures Dark and Deep by Joseph Bloch. He put out what Gary wanted to do with first edition after he had a chance to write some more before he got pushed out of TSR. I believe those were on Kickstarter for a while, and I believe they went to print finally as an actual 3-volume set, so you can take a look at those. I think they're free to download still. They might be as PDFs without the artwork. So check those out. And if you want to contact us, you can contact us by writing it at rfistaff@gmail.com. Voicemail line 570-865-4210, the hotline.
That's right. 7 Hit Dice Dwarves are standing by.
Oh, boy. Anyway, so we're going to get into the meat of the show, and we'll head into some table manners next.
Typical. Of all the evil creatures in the world, I'd like to find one with table manners.
And what are you kidding me? I spent years cultivating the worst table manners on the planet.
Table manners.
So for Table Manners this week, we're going to take a look at the N Magazine edition, Volume 1. Well, the Summer Edition 2012, Issue 1.
Yep.
Which would be Volume 1, so.
Yep. Summer 2012.
So you were saying, Brian, before, you would take each magazine and make a theme and then base everything pretty much around that theme in the magazine. And for this issue, you based it around low-level adventuring.
Yeah, it was our inaugural issue, and we were tossing around ideas, and it just seemed to make sense. Our first issue, well, let's talk about how to start things out. And we hit this from the point of view of the players and the DM. Mm-hmm. And I think we covered a lot of ground with this one.
Yeah, so just to go over it real quickly before we start reviewing it, they talk about the ecology of the carrion crab. They go about talking about gathering at a smoky tavern, advice on keeping first-level parties alive. There's balanced character generation, a bonus article about 85 points for the mathematically challenged, which I kind of love that article title. Great one. And they talk about the Savage Kobold, and is low-level adventures is heroic or not. There's also DM and player quotes scattered throughout the magazine, which gives it that awesome book feel. Mm-hmm. Random map, which is also really cool. And overall impressions of the magazine we'll do first. Mine was, it felt like an old Dragon magazine to me. Nick, what do you think?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, it felt like one of the older issues of Dragon, and I like that that each issue is going to have a particular theme around it, and I thought this was a really good start. I particularly liked that Savage Kobold is low-level AD&D heroic or not. I thought that was a fantastic article.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody who has arguments about is AD&D heroic or not, they need to read that article so they can have some positive feedback. Give someone some this is the reasons for this. This is how AD&D works. Give a good argument, if you will. Mm-hmm. So. But overall, yeah, I love the the one fiction gathering at the Smoky Tavern. That one I kind of cocked my head at.
Yeah,
I was reading that. I'm like, wow, you know what? It does sound kind of weird. if I was like, it's like the fly in the wall perspective.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. In a way, because you have the barmaid and she's hearing all these conversations. It's from her point of view, and now like I'm looking, I'm like, wow, that would sound weird to somebody, wouldn't it? So, I really like this stuff. I mean, it has a little bit of everything, it's got the best of really both things. You got an overall theme, but it's got a little bit of everything based on that theme inside the issue. Just overall great stuff.
Yes, definitely. And the editor-in-chief, Nicole was the editor-in-chief in the beginning, like you said, Brian.
Yes.
And she has a great lead-off article explaining how things are going to be set up and what to expect from the magazine. So definitely take the time to read that over. It's really good. And then I like the different little things scattered around, like the lantern there. Fresno lantern.
I was just wondering, there's no experience point values, so I'm like...
certain things, we looked at this and, we put it together and we got it out the door. And then we go back to it and we look at it and go, it would have been nice to have gold piece and XP values for that. And
that'll be an errata in a later issue.
Yes.
Or we may just throw an article out on the website.
Yeah.
Something people can download. And from the beginning, we tossed out the idea of doing best of.
Mm-hmm.
We figured, well, let's think big. If we die a real quick death, first level, well, then we don't have to worry about it. We'll be dead. But if things work out, let's think about, okay, what are we going to do? And we've tossed up the idea of doing a best of the monsters, best of the magic items, just tossing ideas out. And I can see where... the XP values, gold piece values would be handy. And every time we look back at an issue, no matter how happy we are at it, later on we find something, well, we could have done that better. But if we don't get better, then we're not gaining experience.
But, even if they're out of there, it's like any good DM would okay, I'll assign my own XP values and my own gold piece values for these. It's no big deal.
Yeah. I do that probably half the time anyways.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I really like that that Heroic or Not, AD&D Heroic or Not, and the only other there was one I think it's the keeping first level parties alive. Oh no, starting at level 1, why bother?
Well,
that one I wasn't so sure about. I read the article, I was like,
well, let's get to that in just a second, Nick.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Jumping too far ahead there. Let's take a look at the Tactical Studies reviews for novices by Vince Lethal, what sounds like a really good wrestler name.
Yes.
I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, that's an awesome wrestler name, Vince Lethal.
Vince is the moderator for the Yahoo group First Edition D&D.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. And that's where Nicole and I met.
Oh, okay. That's
she's been there, I think, since the beginning, and I've been part of that for... probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 years. I'm not even sure how long it's been.
Oh, wow.
That's why when I signed up there and I said hi, someone was like, Vince, did you change your email address? I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Wrong Vince.
Yeah, wrong one. So anyway, this article pretty much goes over the game and gives you a lot of good advice about your combat, about what you should pick up as a character. It gives you ideas for the classes. I don't know, but I think maybe he went into a little too much detail because he did mention as in real life in one of the articles as a quote, and I was just like, it's not really real life. You can't compare this to real life. But I guess for that particular section about carrying equipment, maybe that makes common sense for that. But it does go into a lot of ideas what to do with the money as far as when you're starting a party out. Obviously, a magic user doesn't need a lot of money when he starts out, but a fighter does. And what's a fighter's main job, Nick?
Kill things.
And?
Take their stuff.
And?
Go and get beer and wenches.
Keep the bad guys away from the spell users.
Oh, yeah, that too.
So what better yet to do than have a fighter with awesome weapons and awesome armor? So why wouldn't the Magicers just say, you know what? Here's, 30 gold. I'll loan it to you for now, and you can pay me back later when we find more gold. Charge them interest, whatever. You can do whatever you want.
You go.
But I thought that was a clever idea, and I'd never really seen players do that. They really should get together and kind of pool their money. But everyone's always like, haha, I'm by myself, so...
A funny thing that my sons do is, and again, we play with just the three of us, a lot of stuff... Raising Dead, training, that all comes out of party funds before they divvy it up. Because they consider it essential to the party as a whole to progress or, to survive. And they look at it from a common community point of view.
That's funny. My group, when we had a death, when I was playing a Mulvey edition, the the players all were like, well, he died, so let's take his gold and use his gold instead of let's split it together and see what we can help out, one of those things. So I guess it all depends on the players.
Yep.
Some interesting things about druids, how they could be useful in the group, and clerics as far as, they're not really fighters, frontline fighters, but they are backup fighters. But I don't know, I kind of disagree with that, because fighters can hang there with clerics can hang there with fighters just as well.
Especially in the higher levels, absolutely.
Even in the beginning, they're like a battle tank almost. So
hit potential's the same.
Yeah. Their hit points are a little bit lower, but if you start at first level with maximum hit points like I do, and I think Nick, you might do that as well.
Yep, I sure do.
They can sit there and take a hit or two, or not like my magic user. In one campaign, I had 2 hit points. Because the DM made me roll.
That's pointless.
Well, even better yet, the fighter of the group had 3 hit points.
That's even more pointless.
Yeah, I said to the DM, I said, why don't you at least do the, like some people do, they give the average of the class. He's like, no, you have to roll. That's how the book says. I'm like,
Well,
yeah.
Right.
I do agree that the magic users and illusionists usually do get a short end of the stick a lot, and they're hard to play.
Yeah, they are. Their spell repertoire is very limited, so it's tough for them.
I've actually sat and written out some illusionist spells just to make people more interested in the illusionist class.
Yeah.
I'll throw some of them your way, Brian, so you can take a look at it, or maybe you'll throw one on the sidebar or something, just as something cool and to fill up some space.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely. We're always looking for new material.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I know, like, even later on when Unearthed Arcana came out, there were some more illusionist spells, but it just really didn't give the class a lot of oomph. I think the best way to play like the illusionist is when you have a gnome and you play illusionist thief.
Yeah,
that's pair it up with another class like that. It's pretty cool.
The one thing that always confused me about illusionists is they always allude to, they don't actually say out straight out that illusionists have these weird way of putting things on paper, so it's kind of hard to tell if they actually have a spell book or not. So
yeah,
that's the one thing I always got confused about, but I always deem that they have some type of spell book, and yet they have their own crazy language. I
thought this was a really good article, even though even at the beginning he says that it's really for this intended for new players. I read through this and I thought there was some really good nuggets of information even for a veteran player that you might not have thought of before.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just like the thing with the he was talking about like the wine skins. Why have one big wine skin that holds 5 gallons? Why not have 5 wine skins that hold 1 gallon each? You're going to reduce the risk of losing the one wineskin that has, a whole bunch of stuff in it, or using wineskins to hold potions. So you don't have to risk the worrying about potions bottles breaking. Yeah. I'm like, I never thought about that.
Yeah. There's also the fact about spellcasters that have scrolls. That a lot of players forget that, once that scroll hits the water, forget about it.
That's right.
It's no longer going to be usable because you're not going to be able to read that thing anymore.
Nope.
So, any inside information about that article, Brian, you could tell us?
Not really. It's just we were talking things out, and Vince tossed that one over the wall. He was part of the initial discussions. Mm-hmm. And we read through the article, and it seemed like a really good fit in terms of, how do you keep a character alive? And he had one take on it, and we've got other articles that have a different take on the whole process. And again, we've had feedback. We had people who've been DMing for 30-plus years read the whole issue, and just said, I've been playing for 30 years. I don't need to know how to do low-level parties. And we've had people who said, I've been DMing for 30 years. I got a bunch of newbies. I'm making them read the issue cover to cover.
Newbies. Definitely have to say with newbies, the first thing they should actually ever look at with a newbie for this game is that the primer for Old School Gaming.
Yeah.
By Matt Finch.
That's a great reference.
Yeah, definitely find that and have them read that first of all, just to, get acquainted with the game.
I think I had that primer. You're going to have to email that to me again. I think I lost it. But that's just a great read in itself, even for a veteran gamer. I love reading that.
Nick,
that gets me psyched for a game.
If you just Google primer for old school gaming, it's the first hit, so you can find it very easily.
Oh, I'd rather have you do it for me.
No, I will not. I refuse. You're not getting a copy. Too bad.
Very well. I'll find it myself.
Yes, work on your own.
Yeah.
And then, so that's pretty much that article. And then we have this article about this from this Brian guy. I have no idea who he thinks he is, talking about low-level, keeping first-level parties alive. Pfft, Brian.
TPKML.
Yeah.
Oh, No. So,
Brian, why don't you give us a little background about this article, since you're the one that wrote this one?
Well, it was I wrote this independently of Vince's article.
Right.
And when we got together, we were chatting through it, and it was basically the same general idea, but from a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went through and I was listing all the things I would tell a new player to do, to keep their characters alive. And a couple of years ago, both of my sons took their hand at DMing, and I was giving them suggestions. And I just went back through my mental notes and just started jotting things down. And then there's a lot of online discussions. You get people who are rabidly, whatever the dice say, kill all the characters, don't worry about it.
They don't fudge anything or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think one of Gygax's main things was use a DM screen so you can always change the number in case you need to.
Yep. And I got a quote from Frank Menser I use pretty regularly in my SIG, which is, I use the dice, they don't rule me.
Yes, exactly.
And again...
sounds like a Frankian.
Yep.
I see online people talking about parties and someone's character keeps getting killed over and over again and they get disgusted and quit. It's like, it's no fun. You can't build anything. You don't want to make it easy. But as I'm fond of saying, any idiot can kill a PC. I mean, the DM is God. So make it a challenge, but make it interesting and give them a chance. Although, if you look at the sidebar on page 14, you can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
I read that. That's actually really good.
When someone wants to kill their character, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, so you just say, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a really good point in that article where it's like you're already saying, it's like you want to be fair, but you want to pose challenges. That's the part of playing the whole game. If it's too easy, then why even play? You want to have there has to be some sense of suspense and maybe death around every corner, but it shouldn't be insurmountable unless they do something stupid.
Yep. And when I say, are you sure you want to do that? And they say yes, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that was kind of like the warning right there.
Yeah.
My party gets tipped off by when they want to do something, they go, okay. And they're like, uh-oh.
Have you been one of those? I think everybody who's been a DM has been at one point or another where someone in that party says, yeah, we should do this, this, and this, and this, and then we're going to do this. And then they say it again. I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. You want to do, and you say it out loud, okay, so you're going to go and you're going to do this and this and this and this. Are you sure?
I will do that with
they
you.
Hear it back to themselves. They're like, after hearing it from your mouth, it doesn't sound like a good idea.
I will do that for brand new players, but an experienced player, I just go, okay. And that should be their tip off to either change their mind before I start rolling dice or let the dice fall where they fall.
Yeah, I'm like that. It's like, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. No tap X.
So then you give some basic tips about pulling punches, maybe changing the dice around. There's some things about how death is. Okay, what happens? What are you going to do? Maybe the party can gather up and help the player get back on his feet. There's some info about character generation, which was kind of interesting. What'd you think about that, Nick? How not to kill parties.
Yes, how not to get parties. I kind of like, just like I think I like doing the max hit point thing with Constitution bonus.
Yeah, me too.
I think that helps tremendously, especially when you're talking about the magic user. I mean, who wants to play a magic user? You roll hit points, you get a 1, and you have no con bonus. And what's your spell? Sleep? You're done. I mean, why do that?
Or random roll light.
Yeah, I've seen the kind of death point thing used from time to time. But you'd also mention in the article that where AD&D really had the thing where your actual death is at -10.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good rule. I think people forget that one. There are some people that say, okay, your character's at 0 points, dead, done. Well, not really. He's kind of unconscious. He's kind of at death's door. So.
Yeah, the con, or like you put it in, where is that, at the end of the article?
Using Constitution.
Yeah, Constitution, you say if they're 18, they can go to -18. I remember reading that, I think, in the newer edition. I think D&D Next actually has that rule right now, which I don't really like personally, but if it works for somebody else, sure.
People, I read that online in an AD&D forum. Someone had done that. And again, I don't do that myself, but again, I tossed out something here. One thing that I went into this entire venture as, like you mentioned early on, that this resembles the dragon pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Well, one of my big inspirations for this was the dragon under Tim Kask's tenure.
Right. Okay.
And he's got a long Q&A on Dragon's Foot, and even if you don't register with Dragon's Foot, it's worth, it's available to read. It's worth reading. There's a lot of chaff there, but there's also a lot of good stuff. And he talked about printing things that he personally disagreed with, either to challenge people or to, someone might find it of use. So I put in things here that I wouldn't necessarily do myself, but somebody else might.
Right. And that's a good way to go, because you want to have all opinions out there, even if they're not your own.
Well, that's how the whole Unearthed Arcana came about anyway, so.
Yeah.
Gary printed stuff that people wanted, and he didn't necessarily agree with everything, but.
Also, in 85, TSR needed money, but hey.
Big time.
We don't mention that.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. He was busy doing the cartoon, so it wasn't his fault, so leave him alone.
Well, yeah.
So the article goes on about magic items, starting at higher levels as opposed to first level. I've toyed around with this idea a little bit as far as making the magic user second level, just so he'll have a better chance of an extra spell. Sometimes I've done it that the clerics get an extra spell at first level, just a healing spell extra.
Yeah. Well, one way I did get around that a little, I think I know I've mentioned in the past, is at least in my game, I give the same bonus spells per level for magic users as clerics do.
You get the wisdom bonus, but you do it for intelligence.
I use intelligence, and I use that same chart.
I always wondered why they never did do that for magic users.
Yeah, I never understood that either. To me, that makes sense.
I think it was a problem. I knew I read something about this sometime in the dim past. The big problem is the magic users just being too powerful, and their spells, I mean, compared to the other classes, just kick butt.
Oh, yeah.
And I find from my own experience, having a magic user who has to do some hunting and scrimping and saving and finding other things to do than just blast spells teaches a new player a lot of good stuff. And it's a survival trait at higher levels. Your 18th level, you've got spells out the yin yang, but you get in close with a fighter, he's going to shred you.
Yeah. A lot of people who play magic users just kind of like go, okay, here's my spell, sleep. Like Nick said, they cast it, and then like the rest of the adventure, they're kind of walking around. My guy defends. My guy hides. He stands in the back. Nothing. At least a player in my group right now actually has been pretty inventive with the darts, and like rocks and everything, which is very smart. Yeah,
that's a good point. I know in the regular group I got with the kids, there's it's not a magic user, it's a druid, but she's doing a great job with those darts. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I try to encourage the players. It's like, don't sit there, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's always something you can do. I mean, even if it's a rock, 1 hit point of damage is better than no hit points of damage on something. So, I mean, you don't have a good chance to hit, but at least you can do something instead of just standing there. And then the article goes on about raising dead and then planning appropriate encounters for a demon point of view. I don't know. What do you think about that, Nick? Planning appropriate encounters.
Well,
I don't know, because this game is not really set up to be balanced as far as that's concerned.
Well, I think the idea of balance, I think, is already implied in the game. I think any DM who's reasonably knowledgeable about the rules that they're in front of them, particularly, looking at the monster manual, I think you can go by, the hit dice and what the abilities are of the creatures to what would be, a challenge to, first through third level characters. And
yeah,
I mean, it's just good judgment, like you said in the article, good judgment on part of the DM. And I think, I don't think a DM with a bunch of first level characters is going to throw a type 5 demon at the party. That would just be stupid. That would not be my idea of a swell time, So.
Well, it also, you can throw that type of demon at a party. It's also it's also a role-playing opportunity. It's an opportunity to get those people in the party to be like, not everything needs to be attacked on a pawn site.
Yep.
So that's how I'll throw in a lot of monsters like that, and I emphasize their power as far as demons or something like that are concerned, especially with my campaign going on right now, the Tyranny of Asmodeus campaign. There's a lot of demons roaming around, minor demons, and I will point out to the party, this demon is, red eyes, has this aura about him, and he's standing around, and you don't really want to mess with him, and I'll say things like that, and they'll get the hint. Mm-hmm. Maybe talk to him before attacking him, but, there are those players.
The only thing about the article I was kind of concerned about is, like, magic items. I don't know if I would...
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that, giving first-level characters just magic items. I think they need to hunt for them.
I agree with you 100%, but there's actually quite a few people out there that will toss... you got to talk about a magic user giving them spells. They will give the magic user a wand with 3 charges. So let's say a wand of magic missiles with 3 charges. Mm-hmm. In the grand scheme of things, it's not going to overbalance things, but it gives them a little bit something more he can do.
Yeah, yeah, true.
And I don't do it myself. Usually second or third level, they start to find magic items. With newbies, I want them to figure out how to play their character first,
right,
and then start giving them extra stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to distract them with other stuff like, wands and stuff like that.
And where they get just dependent on those sorts of things.
Yeah, true.
And with teaching my kids, they were probably the lowest magic party I've ever run. And, again, you've got, in this case, a 7 and an 8-year-old, getting them to figure out how to run the party, handle spells and things like that. It was enough at the time.
Yeah, speaking of that, Nick, how's it going with the kids' campaign? Did they overcome the challenges of playing? And
oh, you know what? It is progressing along very well. They're starting to. I'm really seeing the cooperation more.
Yeah.
The coordination even better. In fact, last night when we played, just to give an example, John down the street and his dad's playing. His dad's playing a dwarf. Uh-huh. He's playing a half elf. The half elf he has a cloak of elven kind. They got in a situation where the dwarf had a crossbow. They had to take out this kind of trap that they found, and he wanted to. I kind of put the suggestion out there. Well, you guys have magic items that might be able to help out, and John's like, well, I guess I can, let him borrow my cloak as long as he gives it back. So, before though, a few months ago, I don't think he would have done that.
Yeah.
But now he's starting to see, and a lot of other people are seeing that, the party is like, they're dependent on each other, that they need to help each other out. And that if it means like lending another party member a magic item that you have, and they'll give it back, then that's cool. And yeah, seeing a lot better interaction between the kids, and they're really enjoying it.
Definitely. Cool. And yeah, of course we cannot go through one issue without a Monty Python reference. So
yes,
that was in there. So Brian, you get props for that.
100 experience points for that.
Yes.
Cool.
Definitely. Oh, Nick is at -2 experience right now, so we got to get him some more.
Why am I -2?
I don't know. I just figured that out of my top.
Hey.
Here's
hey, not cool. -2. I'm butting in here. What?
Just for butting in, that's -2 again. So.
Wow.
So you're a -4, man. So
you're a hard DM.
Yeah, definitely.
I win.
Yeah, like in the movie Gamers, you just lost 100 experience points for not making any sense and being stupid or whatever he said. So we flip over to the Savage Kobold. Is low-level AD&D heroic or not? Was this the article you were talking about, Nick?
Yes, it was. This is the one. This is my favorite article out of this issue. I think this is if you get this issue, I think this is a must-read for anybody who's ever gotten to those arguments with people who say that first edition AD&D is too hard and characters die all the time and you can't get characters up to certain...
You just Cartman on me? Jeez.
Those people, you just say, calm down, it's okay. It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to,
Yeah.
I think in the article he kind of gives the it's kind of a almost a generational thing. And the mentality is, people now they look at in pop culture, maybe in superheroes and stuff like that from movies or whatever, our idea of a hero is someone that's completely nearly impossible to take down. And it says in the article, since AD&D characters at low level are anything but superheroes, the game inevitably failed to live up to that individual's perspective, was written off as non-heroic.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
Going beyond that, though, and he goes on to the next part of the article while you talk about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. Those guys, you got Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. They were just normal little hobbits living in the Shire. They didn't want to go on this adventure to destroy this ring, who might, if Sauron gets his hand on it, might rule the whole Middle Earth. But that's what makes them heroic and extraordinary. Heroes are people who are normal individuals who are thrust in extraordinary circumstances and become more than what they originally were. That's a real hero.
Definitely.
I think that article really sets that premise that it's ordinary people put in extraordinary circumstances and how they develop from there. And I think that makes a much more compelling story.
Definitely. Good article. Good thoughts. I mean, everybody has their point of view, so I was glad to see a good, devised point of view that isn't heated or written by somebody that's biased. So,
yeah, I thought and I think that kind of summed up the article in a nutshell. But I think anybody who's listening, read that article. It's great stuff.
Yeah. And then we jump over to an article from Andrew, starting at level 1, why bother? Nick, didn't you say you had an issue with this article at the beginning of the show?
Yeah, you know what? I don't like... I like the article. I just don't like the premise behind it. I mean, I start characters at first level. I mean, what's the point not doing it then?
I enjoy starting them, but I don't agree with him. Take a look at any published module, first or third level, old school adventures, and you'll get the distinct impression that it really isn't for a bunch of first level PCs. I've never seen a problem with any of the modules, honestly.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither. And I think that kind of harkens back to the other article where, yes, you have these characters who started off at whatever where they are in their lives, they're thrust in this extraordinary circumstance, but they have to figure out situations. Yes, Keep of the Borderlands does have an ogre and minotaur and bugbears in it, but you know what? It forces the players to think how to deal with those situations. It doesn't mean that you should just go in there and willy-nilly and just start whacking at things without having a plan. You have to work together. And like I think it said in the previous article, this is a game in one way or another forces a group to depend on each other and work together, to coordinate, to plan, not just the single heroic guy with the big honking sword walking into a lair of bugbears and swinging away, and every hit's a decapitation. It doesn't work that way.
No, and when it suggests first through third level, it means that you can mix the party up between those levels, or have a lot of first level characters or a few third level characters. Yeah,
what are some other things that?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just kind of at a loss of words. I'm like, I don't know. It was well written, but
definitely. What do you think, Brian? What's your thoughts behind this?
When it's a brand new party, I start them at first level.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody gets killed, or when somebody gets killed, if we need to replace a character, I usually start them a little bit lower than the rest of the party.
Yeah.
Although some people restart all characters at first level, which seems kind of silly. When you got a fifth level party and you stick a first level in there and he gets killed, that's not really a surprise.
Right.
But
I do the average.
What Andrew's saying here, even if I don't agree with it, it makes sense. And especially with DMs who tend to be a little bit more lethal, it may make sense to start everybody at second level. That way the characters have twice as many hit points and things are not quite as lethal as they had been.
Yeah.
May not be the way I do it, but it does make sense.
Yeah, it's funny. Like that first article is like, oh wow, that's really, really cool. About yes, they are heroic and everything. And I get to this one, like, hey, this is like a rebuttal. Let's just start everybody at second level. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and I agree that the barbarian going up from first to second level, 6,001 experience points is a lot. But if you look overall of what the barbarian gets, he's not a weakling. He's not.
No.
He's not a class that can be easily walked over. He's something that can hold his own and then some.
D12 hit dice.
Yeah, and plus all the abilities. Yeah, granted he doesn't like anything magic-wise, and he's going to want to break everything magic, but, who cares?
Yeah, he's going to be earning boatloads of XP for all the monsters going to be taken on.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I just cannot see how you can't not to start characters at first level. I think that robs them part of the experience. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I start first level too, so I have no problem. I have no problem pulling punches or saving characters behind the screen. That's why I have a screen up, so I could say, oh, that was a miss when it was actually a 20 sitting in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously so you can't fix stupid, like Brian said in his article, so.
Good point.
Okay, so we head over to an article, Balanced Character Generation, by Nicole, the editor-in-chief of the magazine. Interesting article. I liked all her thoughts in this, up until the point of psionics, and then I went, oh, goodbye. And I told her that, too, and she's like, well, it's not for everyone, so she's in the unpopular opinion about psionics, so I told her, no, I don't like psionics. I'll never use them.
We tried psionics. I actually rolled a character with psionics 30 years ago, and we tried it for a while, and the decision of our group was it just didn't fit.
Yeah.
But other people seem to make it work, and, that's cool.
Yeah, we had a long time ago, we actually did a show all about psionics.
Yeah.
And I think Jason had a pretty good psionics system that he devised. I even think I threw out the suggestion. Well, if you're going to use psionics, why don't you just like modify the stuff out of the Gamma World game and just use that? I mean,
yeah,
that would be pretty compatible. I'm not a big fan of it. In fact, if I remember, Gary said that's why it was in the appendices with the Bard.
Well, yeah,
it was just kind of an afterthought.
He was putting it in based on what he was told by the Bloom brothers, as far as what I read. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he put it in against his judgment, according to what he wrote.
Yeah. But who knows? Because sometimes he changed his mind when he wrote in forums. So
there's that.
Yeah, there's that too. So
that too. But I think with psionics, it's like if you want. I guess if it depends on what style of game that you want, the flavor of the game that you want. If you want something that's really gonzo type game, really weird sword and sandal type,
yeah,
almost post-apocalyptic in a way.
Mad
yes,
Max.
psionics works. But if you want to try to stick with a more a medieval fantasy feel, psionics is not going to work for you.
No. I also, the only other thing I saw about this article I didn't really think was needed, but it was a very good explanation, was the social status. I think that's thinking a little too deep into the game, but I mean, some people like that as far as generating a character social status for each character. She went into a lot of detail from lower class up to royalty itself, so that's how her games work. So if it works, do it. And I definitely enjoyed her mathematically challenged section,
which is me on one of the mathematically challenged.
Yeah, it's a lot of people always like, well, like she said in an article, my dice stink. I never roll a good character. I never have 18s. She has this nice little system here with 85 points distribute it among the stats starting at 14 and lower it and raise it based upon what you want to do. So I won't spoil that for you because it's a really good system. They could read that.
Yeah, it is.
And you could pretty much get a really good character based upon what you want with just 85 points.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much that's all I could say about that. Nick, you have anything to add about that?
No, I thought that pretty much wrapped up that article. I liked it.
Yeah. So then we get another article by Andrew going characters with history. When I first read this article, I was kind of like, when I first read it without just really a skim through, I was just like, well, no, when I make up a world, I don't tailor it to the characters. The characters tailor it to my world. So then reading it a second time, I was just like, well, maybe he's just giving it this point of view with mixture of both. So kind of back and forth, but I kind of make up the world and tell the players how it is and let them work from there. That's just how I do my stuff. But Nick, what about you?
I could see where Andrew was coming from on this. Some of this, when I was reading, it was kind of intuitive. I think I've kind of already done this. It's like I'll have the campaign world, but like I've always said, I'm a lazy DM. I use pre-existing campaign worlds. I use World of Greyhawk right now.
Yeah.
For my AD&D game.
Yeah.
And right now I'm just kind of focusing on a particular World of Greyhawk, but I had the characters like they rolled up their characters and where they came from, and I just kind of sat there just for a few minutes with each one of them and said, okay, this is probably how you guys are meeting. This is how this is all happening, how you guys all met up. So it wasn't really detailed, I don't think. It's just kind of on the fly.
And I have players that have gone and made up backgrounds, brought it to the game, and I've looked at it and I said, you know what, this is really cool. I will incorporate it into the game.
Yeah, sure.
They took the time to write
if
something
someone
out.
takes the effort, go with it.
But I've seen a lot of players just be like, meh, my character's Bob, here's his stuff, let's play. And I don't care, because, I just want to play too, so.
Right. Yeah,
But-
I guess it depends how much they want to put into it.
But Andrew did go into a lot of detail and benefits, drawbacks of each and everything, class by class. Very well written, very interesting. I did like the part which he talks about guard dogs, because a lot of PCs forget about they can use guard dogs.
Yeah, or 0-level hirelings.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing I thought when my magic user with 2 hit points. I was at the DM and said, can I please have a guard dog? And he's like, all right, do you have the gold? I'm like, yes, I only buy a staff. What else am I going to buy? So he gave me a guard dog. which had 4 hit points. So at least it lasts.
Little chihuahua.
Yes,
4 hit points you don't have to lose.
Yeah, at least he was able to block 4 hit points for me, right?
There you go.
All right, so, and then we get into which I really love this article, the creature feature, which stole our name. No, I'm kidding. The creature feature of the ecology of the carrion crab. I love the article. I love the description. How did you guys come up with this method, Brian? I love this.
I started writing little pastiches a couple of years ago. The characters in the fiction, Trajan and Marissa are the grandfather and grandmother of my son Patrick's character Jake.
Oh, that's cool.
And I started writing these little pastiches, and Nikki had the carrion crab, and I for the life of me, I can't recall where she got it from. I can't remember if she invented it or if somebody gave her an idea and she fleshed it out. And she tossed it out there, and I just said, hey, I can throw some fiction on the front of that. And I was thinking back to one of my favorite articles from the Old Dragon was Ed Greenwood's ecology features.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I just attacked it from that point of view.
Yeah, I really love this kind of telling the story, weaving it in and out, and then you finally get to the monster, and you have some great... I love the drawings, too. They're so perfect for this.
And I like this monster. It's a great a monster for your first, second level characters to come up against. It's a hoarding... Yeah, it's like a mass horde creature, which is really nasty in itself.
Yeah. There's some of the changes we made to it as we were discussing this was the idea of making something that's going to be a little bit of a foil to even higher level parties.
Yeah.
You get these things in number. You get 60 of them. You got a danger here.
Oh, yeah.
I love the quote.
These things. They like and they're small as far as size category, but you're talking a crab that's 2 feet in diameter.
Yeah.
That's a good sized crab. A king crab.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Or like, what was it? That Japanese spider crab, where it is, that lives off the coast of Japan? Those get ginormous.
Yeah. I like the quote, the tunnels are so clean, what cleans up all the debris? The carrion crab.
The carrion.
Or the gelatinous cube, either one.
Either one, yeah.
Yeah, we needed some filler space there, so Nicole threw together a haiku.
Oh, okay. It's cool.
I managed to find a little scroll there to stick it in. And
yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then we jump over to another article by Nicole, the Toy Box, pre-assembled equipment packs, which I've done quite a bit in my game, though she fleshes it out way more than I did. We're going as far as putting down bowls and cups and cutlery, and even as far as the rest of it's similar. Yeah, rations, tinderbox, flint and steel, small sacks, water skins, wedges, bedrolls, tents. I generally do what she has here for the basic standard adventures pack, except I don't go as much detail. I don't bother with like silverware and cups and stuff like that. I figure adventures just sit there and go and just eat stuff. So, I mean, unless obviously like a cavalier or something, then yeah, you might want to write that stuff down.
Yeah.
I have to admit, eating soup with your hands is a little painful.
Yeah, a little difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you take a stick, you dip it in, you eat it, and that's the end of it. I don't know.
Yeah, have some bread along.
There you go.
I like this article too. It reminded me actually. There is something actually similar when I was playing Hackmaster 4th Edition. They have like adventuring packs that you can buy. So this kind of reminded me of that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Maybe she got influenced by that, or she came up with it all on her own. Either way, you know what? It's a great thing to have for, who wants to hunt around for all that stuff between a whole bunch of books and everything. It's like, oh, cool. I got a list of everything right here. This is the pack that I want. Boom. Done.
Well, knowing Nicole after talking to her, I assume she's probably been doing this for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I know that they did incorporate this idea in later editions of D&D. I know 4th, for example, has standard adventure packs and things like that. I think 3.5 might at some point as well. But I know she's probably been doing this since she's been able to roll a die when she was a little girl. So, and then we have some awesome spells for various classes by Andrew. Most of them looks like I should.
Andrew produces spells I can't. I've known the guy for a year and a half, and he astounds me. We're actually getting ready to publish our third supplement. Mm-hmm. It's a spell book from Andrew, and I think we're at 48 pages.
Whoa! Just spells?
And that's after we cut material. He'll send me a file once in a while. He was bored some night, or he was walking the dog, or watching his kids play, or something, and I just invented 3 spells.
These are really good spells, especially for the magic user, where they don't have to just depend on. And these, I think, they're all first level spells in this issue too. Yeah, and the feat of strength spell and mighty blow, great spells for a magic user right there.
Yeah, the mighty blow. Yeah, all of them by Andrew, and then we have one by Lee Connor, and then Rachel Strange, which are all excellent. I've banged out some spells from my game, but I probably couldn't do it as much as Andrew. Like you said, just bangs out 3 spells in a little while. That's amazing.
He's produced more spells in a week than I've produced in 30 years.
Wow.
And that's not an exaggeration.
My only specialty is taking Pokemon monsters and banging them out to first edition D&D.
Yeah, we've been down that road.
I could snap a finger and I could write up a D&D monster for a Pokemon, and people are like, why? I'm like, look at them. They're perfect monsters. Anyway, there's my plug, Pokemon.com. Anyway, we have a quarterly mini-adventure, which I assume that every issue, I should say, you guys are going to have a little mini-adventure in there.
We're doing at least one adventure. We've got this, and we've got the one-page dungeon. And and one page means front and back of a sheet. And the funny thing here is that our 2 adventures here were both one-page dungeons.
Now, my understanding was the one-page dungeon was only 1 page is in front. That was it. That was what the contests were, at least.
Our version of it is
front and back.
Front and back.
With no map on this one that was written here. Yeah. You said basically it's described, and the DM could sit there and make out the map as he sees fit, but you don't really need it if you just go by how it's just written, which you can.
A lot of things you really don't need a map. Well, I invent stuff on the fly. I've done in entire adventures. I sat down, made up 12 encounters, and did everything completely from my head, and nobody knew that I was making it up as I went.
Yeah, one player in my group knows when I do that too. Celestian on the forums, Mike, he knows. He's just like, you just did that on the fly. I'm like, I'm not telling you, but he knows. He knows when I make stuff up. In fact, that was one of the emails we got that we'll be reading in the next letters to the editor. One encounter that I made up, he figured out that it was on the fly, and he's like, that was pretty good. And we got another article here, featured fiction, Gathering at the Smoky Tavern, which Nick had alluded to in the beginning of the review.
That was a funny story. I'm reading that, and I'm like, yeah, all that stuff would sound weird for somebody who didn't know. What really got me is when the barmaid, she goes, a first level what? Some kind of secret society? What the hell was dexterity? I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Now I get the story.
Okay. Yeah, it was a great article, and we're not going to ruin it for anybody, so take the time to read it. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Brian, were you guys... I have all the rest of them downloaded, haven't had a chance to look at them this week since I really found them. Are you guys going to incorporate any comics or anything like that into this later issues, maybe, or...?
We would have to find someone who's actually writing a comic and wants to publish. We haven't found anybody with that interest yet.
But if you did, you would consider it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay, good.
We would definitely consider a comic where some of the later versions or later issues, we put in some comedy items. We got some fake ads. I think we got a death notice for someone, character who ran into something they shouldn't have. And another of my favorites from the old Dragon was the comedy.
You like Dragon Mirth?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wormy.
And when I got the Dragon Index, or the archive, one of the things I did is I'd never read all of Wormy because I started subscribing partway through, so I went back and I just, issue by issue, just reading Wormy.
Hey, it's a lot of fun.
That was the best one out of there. It was sad when that stopped. Just boom out of nowhere.
Yep.
And then we, at the very, very end, we have for further reading, which is always very good, the Dragon Index, the Dragon Magazine Index, which now you can include archive.org now for the magazine downloads. And Fight On Magazine, Knoxville. Are they still doing Knoxville? I thought that was done.
At the time we published this, it was, as far as we knew, it was active.
Right. And I always pronounce this wrong, Oubliette Magazine. That is a great magazine. I love talking to him, the author, about that, and every once in a while I'll just chat with him. And we've done various reviews on Save or Die of this magazine, so definitely worth picking up. And then finally, the map at the back of the magazine, which is any history behind this map? Is this your map?
We got to the end. We were putting the magazine together, and we really didn't have. And we were expecting an idea to jump out at us, and it didn't.
Uh-huh.
So it just got lumped on me, and I was just thinking, the title "Unfinished Territory" is just kind of an old school map. The type of thing, you've got a map, you've got a key with some interesting stuff, and what's the DM going to do with it? And we tossed it out there as an idea that someone is like, there's a metal statue. And if I was looking at this map and stocking it, say, okay, what's this metal statue and what am I going to do with it?
Right.
It's more to get people thinking. I don't think the reception of this map was all that great, but I'm not massively attached to it, so I didn't feel bad.
Well, it's basically you're giving somebody a quick map to jump to, which I think is a cool idea, because if I was playing
especially if you're a lazy DM like me.
Yeah, someone like Nick who, doesn't have the time or just laying around watching TV, scratching his butt, can pick this map up.
Have you been peeking in my windows?
I'm not telling.
Okay.
And
like for issue 2, our first map, because we do one on the inside of the front and back covers, it's a bank. Someone, one of our readers said, hey, I'd like a map of a bank, so we put together one.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And we're trying to do something that's mostly topical, and there is an article on a bank in issue 2, so we threw a map in.
Issue 2, I'm looking on the back, the very, very back of this is Undead. So I'm looking forward to actually taking the time, during work, of course, to read issue 2. Because I love Undead. That's one of my favorite things to play with.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Undead.
There's some entertaining stuff in there.
Undead and Demons, definitely. You guys going to do it? You have anything planned for Demons, I'm wondering?
Not yet. Let's see. Our next issue is Magic and Magic Items.
Right.
Then we're doing Wilderness Adventures, Inner Planes, and then Urban Adventures. At least that's our current plan, and this is always subject to change. If someone comes in with a hot idea, we'll
right.
We'll switch tracks. Nothing's graven in stone until we actually publish.
Oh, so yeah, definitely.
And we're always looking for ideas. What do people want to read?
Where we can contact you by letters. Yes, letters.
If you look on the back page, we got letters at anmag.com. We've also got submissions.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely check submissions at nmagazine.com and nmag. And letters if you like. Are you guys going to have pretty much an advice column like Sage Advice had, or we have Sage Advice?
We had talked about that, but in the internet age, people are going to forums. The thought would be it would be kind of far behind the times. Plus the fact that no one's actually asked us any questions. Oh. Now, when you get to, I think it's issues 2 and I know issue 4, I post questions to Tim Kask periodically, and we joke about the Wayback Machine, if anybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll ask questions, and Tim will toss answers out, and he's given us permission to reprint. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Off and on, and I'm in touch with some of the other guys that formulated D&D, and in general, these guys are all cool. Tim Kask, Frank Menser, Jim Ward, a few other guys, and ask questions, and as long as they're willing to let us do it, we'll post it. Because again, the people who read one particular forum on one particular site will read this, and we're trying to expand beyond that. We want to, just cover everybody.
Right. Okay. So, overall, magazine, I would definitely give it an 8.5 out of 10. Nick, what about you?
Cool.
I give it 2 thumbs up.
Nah, Nick. Point out of 10.
Oh, point out of 10? 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. And Brian, what would you give your... Oh, never mind. You're the writer. So we can't give you... You can say 10 out of 10 for you there.
Actually, when you guys said you wanted to do our first issue...
Yeah.
As a group, we consider this our weakest issue.
Really?
But if you're happy with it, it's like, hey, this is cool. Oh. I mean, if we can get an 8.5 out of 10 on our inaugural issue, hey, I can't argue with that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I purposely picked this one because it was low-level adventuring. Neither can I speak today. And I know a lot of people ask questions about that, so we figured it'd be a good starting point as well as it is your starting point, so... I guess that pretty much going to wrap things up, but I do have one question left for you, Brian. And I have to ask this per Andrew, so otherwise he'd probably kill me.
Here it comes.
Yeah. If you were...
You're going to get off easy, didn't you?
Yeah. If you were a household appliance, which one would you be, and why would you be that one?
Yeah, he emailed earlier and said, and the answer I gave him I probably can't use in the podcast.
Oh.
So it's going to be an appliance.
Yeah. Household appliance. Which one?
Probably a refrigerator for no particular reason, just because it's always there in the center of things.
All right. That's fair enough. I mean, someone in the past said iPhone, which doesn't make any sense, but hey, why not? So, next issue we'll be back. We'll be talking about N4, I believe, Nick, right?
Yes, talking about Module N4 Treasure Hunt. I think that'll be a good one. Not a whole lot of people familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Including myself. So it'll be real fun to do.
Good adventure for a brand new starting party of new people.
Yeah.
New players, and also for a new DM as well. So we figured we'd throw that
advice
one
for zero-level characters.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how you start at 0 level and you build your character throughout the adventure by using this module. So it's really interesting. So we wanted to just throw it out there for people to listen to.
It's a unique approach.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll get on top of that next week, and we'll be back with that. Matt will be back next week. Unfortunately, he was under the weather this week. So
yeah, we got to get him some Kiatom ointment or something like that, or get in touch with a cleric.
Yeah, probably one of those things, or who knows. Anyway, Brian, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast.
Thank you for having me here. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully, people come to your site, start throwing letters at you, and give you more things to be annoyed about. No, I'm kidding.
As with fandom.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't matter what they say. It's better than being ignored.
Very true, very true. So I guess I'll have to say keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good one.
Roll for initiative.